Ready.
All right. Wow, welcome everybody. This is our second Tuesday workshop this month, and we've been really enjoying ourselves doing more interactive things with our time together. Tonight, we're exploring mindful movement, and this is brand new to us. A, to have a guest speaker, but B, to get moving during a class. And sometimes I think that's a piece we leave out. You know, when we talk about our wellness lifestyle, we mention exercise, but we don't really emphasize it. So this is an opportunity to really talk about getting started and moving your body, both physically, but also mindfully. I'm Joanna. If you don't know me, our guest tonight is my friend, my trainer, and coach, scholar extraordinaire, Bowen Ma. And before we get rolling, I just want to talk a little bit about gyms and workouts. I work out at home, but I also really enjoy working out in nature. But some of you may be making your grand return to the gym soon. And so I thought I might talk a little bit about what's in the gym bag. You know, what are my essentials for working out and really for just being, because exercise to me could just be a walk with my dogs. But essentials, we always talk about lifelong vitality. That's our, you know, our vitamins, our minerals, our cellular energy, and also our omegas. For me, there's no way I'm exercising without Terrazyme digestive enzymes, because if I'm uncomfortable and bloated and having digestion, there's no way I'm getting up and moving around. Maybe my favorite product is Mito 2 Max, which is, and it's an energy and stamina complex, but there are no stimulants in it. So I don't get that wild caffeine boost that keeps me up all night. But I can tell you I take it every single day. And for me, even though I'm not really the Energizer bunny, I don't have that 3 p.m. crash. I'm not yawning half the day, and I do sleep at night. So this is essential for me every day, but for workouts, 100%. I'm going to make mention of this one, Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex, for occasional, like if you want to support a healthy inflammatory response. But I know some people who take it, even if they're experiencing tension, like muscle tension, head tension, and the like. So that's a winner in my books, especially when you can take it as a healthy alternative to another type of analgesic or anti-inflammatory. It doesn't replace it, but for some people it's sufficient, and that's exciting. We have this groovy case that comes from the US market. It's called the Athletes Kit. It used to be an enrollment kit that came with the nutritional supplements, has our Deep Blue Rub. That's like our flagship muscle rub product, but it also comes with a few oils. Well, I've hacked my bag. So my bag has the oils that I want to see in it. And so for me, when I work out in my own home gym, I like to diffuse. My oils of choice are Easier or Breathe, if you're in our US market, and Motivate, for obvious reasons. But if you haven't smelled Motivate, it smells a little bit like after 8 chocolate mints, and like, so a hint of orange, and it smells fantastic diffused with Easier. If you have not tried that, or Breathe, do it, please, and thank you. Report back. Wild orange and peppermint, those are obvious choices. But I also want to put in a huge plug for AromaTouch. That's our massage blend, but it has some oils in it that really promote circulation. So if you are prone to kind of sluggish muscles that don't want to wake up, or like cramps, that kind of thing, I like to mix AromaTouch, Deep Blue, and maybe even more Breathe or Easier. Even if you put it on your feet or you dilute and put it on your calves, you will feel it throughout your body. It's oxygenating to all of your cells and tissues, and it will even open up the airways. So that I love. And last up, got to tell you about our new On Guard wipes. If you are going to the gym, you will find sweaty people that do a really crummy job cleaning off the equipment. Now you have On Guard in a wipe form, and it goes well beyond your little On Guard hand sanitizer spray. You could use that because it opens up like a big towelette and just kind of pat everything down. Okay, so that's it for product talk tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about Bo. She is an athlete extraordinaire, right? Former diver, I believe, and kind of saved my butt during COVID. I usually have a very close personal relationship with a massage therapist, a chiropractor. I have a whole like team of people that put Humpty Dumpty back together. And when we went into a prolonged lockdown, that wasn't an option to me except in an emergency. And so my first thought was, well, I better get limber. I better get moving. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very intimidated by equipment in the gym. And I knew Bo only casually through networking, but I knew she was a trainer. And I thought, she's probably home too. Maybe she can spare some time for me. And we wound up working out together virtually 3 times a week and really overhauled me physically, but also I think in terms of mindset and motivation. And although I'm not super consistent and I'm not an athlete, I have carried forward a lot of the good habits that I learned through our time together. Okay, so without further ado, it's all yours. Everybody, please go.
Hi, everyone. Joanna, would you like to introduce the scale that you mentioned, just to get everyone started?
So I didn't I actually was thinking about it, but I'm on my phone tonight. So I don't have a PDF, but I think everybody here tonight has seen our wellness pyramid, our lifestyle pyramid that starts with eating right and using your nutritional supplements. And the next tier there is exercising. And if you are willing to be honest with yourself, you don't have to tell us. Take a moment and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Where would you put yourself in terms of not just fitness, but making time for yourself to put physical activity into your day, into your week? Mm-hmm. And hopefully you will be inspired to up-level that number at the end of the evening.
Mm-hmm. So I'd first like to thank Natalie and Joanna for having me today. It's not often that I do get to share my knowledge on sport, science, and moving with a big group of people. And I'm grateful for all of you for joining us as well. You're welcome to have your camera on or off for the duration of the workshop. There will be a lot of times that I'll try to engage some of you guys to either chat about your stories or ask questions. It's up to you how you would like to go about that. And if you have any other questions, same thing, direct them to Natalie or Joanna or myself. And you can also drop them in the chat, although I don't think I can multitask looking back and forth for that. So I will share my screen now just to get us started. All right. Can everybody see okay? Just thumbs up, perfect. All right. So as I mentioned, feel free to ask me any questions throughout the presentation, and I won't be talking the whole time, and we'll get stretching, get up, get moving as well. So to tell you all a little bit about myself, I did a 4-year degree at Western in kinesiology, and half my degree was related to movement. It was learning about injuries and some of it coaching. I learned to teach group fitness classes and engage in I can't say that word. Aqua aerobics. That's what I wanted to describe. And the other half of my degree was learning about sport management, working with nonprofits, and working with people in the community to teach sport and grow the organizations. And during that time, I also taught recreational sport activities for children. I love working with kids and youth, and that's what kept me in sport most of the time. And of course, I taught diving as well. As Joanna mentioned, I was a diver in BC, and I decided to pick it back up because I wanted to work with kids and also see them improve in their diving careers. So I actually moved to Windsor about 2 years ago to lead the Windsor Diving Club in their operations and as a coach to help them get through the competitions, but also to grow as a community. And when I decided to part ways from the club, I returned to school for my master's in leadership, but also to the scene of group fitness for the city of Windsor. And that's how I fell in love with Windsor, and I haven't left since. So my role here today is to share with all of you some information about mindful movement. Exercise can seem like a chore, but it doesn't have to be, because in the end, we're all in control of our health in one way or another. And I'm here to help you learn more about your relationship with movement and exercise. So I'm a salsa dancer. I love dancing with others, learning new moves, and trying different techniques. I love learning about culture as well, which is why I've decided to join that community. I used to swim. My favorite place in the world right now is the Rock Gym, which is just down the street from me. And I picked up paddleboarding during COVID because it kept me socially distanced from others, but I also got to try something new in a safer, more controlled way. And my love for all these sports, all of exercise, comes from play. And I hope that's something that everyone can take away from today, because that is one of the pieces for sustaining our health and movement. All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this time? Only see a few people on the chat. All right. So as a As a trainer and as a coach, I only really spend about 25% of my time in the gym, either teaching or working out myself. The rest of that time is doing other activities, whether it's going for a walk, playing with my cat, going out for a swim, or paddleboarding. And even as a kinesiology graduate, I don't work out most of the time, just because the fitness industry has created this idea of what it means to work out, but that's only really for 5% of the population, because most of us don't enjoy lifting weights, and that's the reality. It's very repetitive and it can get boring, but oftentimes it can help us strengthen our bones, our muscles, and let out our frustrations, but that's only for people who enjoy it or are trying to achieve their goals. As a child, my love for movement came from jungle gyms. It came from the pool, doing taekwondo, and I never really thought about how my lifestyle would change after I finished high school. Going into university, I 100% struggled. My muscle mass turned into fat because I wasn't as active. I didn't know how to allocate my time, and it was really hard to change how I was moving and spending time studying so that I wouldn't flunk out. And during that time, I lost my confidence in the way I looked, in the way I moved. And the only way I found myself back into the health scene or the sports scene was my friends asking me, "Do you want to join my club? Because I'm promoting it. Do you want to salsa dance with us? Do you want to go play squash?" And from peer pressure and also interest, I went back to sport, not as something I was looking to do as a goal, but more so just to spend time with my friends and try something new. And as I got older, as I've started, or as I was finishing my degree, I learned a lot more about the fitness industry and how that culture has changed, but also our lifestyles. They are so easy. It's so easy for us today to rely on technology to get things delivered to our homes. We have an ease for transportation, and that takes away from our movement time, even if it's just a walk to the store or to take the bus and walk to another destination. And that changes how we move and how we and how we allocate our time in our routines for movement. So before I move on, I think it's important for us to all sit for about a minute or two and just reflect on how we feel about ourselves and how we see our current movement and active routines. You can do this on camera, off camera, if you'd like to share. I would love to hear your voices. And yeah, would anybody like to step in on camera, off camera?
I'll certainly share that the last couple of months, sorry, I'll just be super brief, being so cold and of late very snowy where we live, it was very easy for me to just set aside any good intentions for exercise. And although I've tried to stay sort of active within the house, it's been a little bit lacking. And I'm very grateful the weather's warming up, but it's an excuse, right? I have all kinds of equipment and even my own body weight, just to use for resistance. And so, I'm looking forward to starting some new habits, and maybe the day's getting longer. Yeah, something to help motivate.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing.
I'm really lucky. I'm considered essential, so I've been working since May, and I walk about 5 miles a day. Do a lot of bending, twisting, lifting. I also like to do Pilates, and I have a healthy back stretch I like to do.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for your service. This is not an easy time for us
Thank
to
you.
get through. Anybody else would like to share?
I'll share. What I'm loving so far is that you're talking about just bringing movement into our day rather than having to do, an hour at the gym every single day, 7 days a week, which is what we think we have to do in order to be considered active. And I was telling Joanna, I've kind of made the word exercise kind of taboo for myself because I have such a bad relationship with it. So I always call it intentional movement, but I like mindful movement too. And I actually got 2 dogs during the lockdown because I wanted to walk. Well, I wanted dogs for other reasons too, but they've really encouraged me to keep moving because they're puppies and they're so energetic. I've been trying to walk with them, and up until about 3 weeks ago, we were walking about an hour a day, and it was fun because I'm watching them have a good time. It sounds so silly, but I definitely want to add more activity into my day, especially when the nicer weather comes with my kids too. And I like removing the pressure of having to do a regimented routine, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, the hour-long workouts are not ideal for most people and their schedules, but doing the things we love, the time passes a lot faster. And there's so many options out there of how we can move, either at work, with our pets, or doing something for ourselves, like stretching. Mm-hmm. Anybody else before we move into a quick stretch to stand up? All right. Okay. I welcome all of you to stand up. Make sure you have a safe space. If you'd like to join us, you're welcome to. I understand that it's late, so not everyone would want to join, but we're just going to go through a quick stretch from head to toe. And I'm just gonna move my box. All right. Okay, can everyone see me okay? Thumbs up for those who are moving. So we'll just start out with our necks and shoulders, heads and shoulders. We'll just do a short circle motion, a nice rotation. And if you ever need to modify any of these movements, you're welcome to at this time. You adjust the stretch as needed, And if you need any suggestions, just give me a shout out as well. All
I
right.
don't mean to interrupt, sorry, but if you're
Yes.
if you're done sharing your screen, is there any, just because now that I'm standing up and I'm further away, it's hard to see you.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you. Sorry.
My bad. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know. All right, so we'll go the other direction. Just slow and steady. Take a few big deep breaths in through the nose and back out through the mouth. And let's go one more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. All right, and let's bring our necks back into a neutral position, and we're just gonna roll our shoulders. And I want you to drop that tension all the way down to the ground from your shoulders to elbows and the fingers. And 3, 2, 1, we'll come up to the front. We'll bring our shoulders forwards. And when you can, try to get them up a little higher each time and down a bit lower. Every repetition. Good, and deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. All right, shake out the arms, the shoulders, and we're just going to go for the hips and the spine. For this one, if you have any lower back pain or upper back pain, I advise you to go a little bit slower, but we're just going to go in circles. Just like that. Same thing. If you find that the range of motion is too far, you can slow it down. Otherwise, you can continue with the shoulders and or the neck. All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go the other direction. We just want to get some movement in the joints and lightly in the muscles for tonight. I was talking to Joanna and Natalie earlier about, oh, if we did a workout at 8 p.m., how would that affect everyone's sleep? I'm sure that everybody would not want to be energized laying in bed right beforehand. All right, and 2, 1. Let's come down to the legs. We're just going to draw our knees up, and you're going to make a big circle and come back down. There may be some snapping in the hips if you sit often. Just make sure that you're not feeling any pain, but there's nothing to worry about that clicking. It's just a bit stiff. So you're going to alternate legs. Just draw that knee up and slowly and relax, just let it back down. Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to come forwards. So drawing that knee in, we're going to close that gate. Perfect. Just like that. All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to go for the ankles and wrists. So you can do one at a time or both at the same time. I'll just start with the wrists, and with my ankles, I know you can't see on the screen, I'm just rolling it in a circle on the floor, just with the wrists. Good, and I want you to take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the mouth, and just think about how you're feeling right now. Is anything sore? Are any of your joints tight? And how are you feeling taking each big deep breath as you're exercising? And let's go the other way around. We're going to switch ankles if you're already doing ankles as well. if you're ever coming into exercise with an injury or with some sort of other impediment, there are ways to work around it. And that's one of the beauties of exercise. There's always another modification that can be made so that everyone can participate. All right, and 3, 2, 1. We're going to take 3 big deep breaths, and then we'll come back together for the rest of the workshop. So from the bottom, just bending the knees, big deep breath in, as big as you can. And back out. Out from the mouth. Let's go once more. I want you to try to hold it at the top. And back out. Last one, as big as you can. In through the nose and out through the mouth. All right, and grab some water if you need any. And we're just gonna come back together. How's everyone feeling after that nice stretch?
Awesome.
Perfect.
I can feel the tension kind of like clicking and cracking out of me from sitting all day.
Yes, that does happen. All right, and before I offer more tips to returning or to exercise or continuing your exercise journey, I have 3 questions to ask you all. You can write this down if you'd like, or just think about them. The first one is, what types of movement do you enjoy? This can range from sport to physical activities, to stretching. All right. And for the second question, what prevents you from wanting to move more on a daily basis? And the last question, when you're ready, are you happy with your physical health, your mental health, and your social health? Physical health has more to do with your movement and how your body reacts or interacts with the environment. Mental health, that's more to do with the mind. And social health is your interaction, your relationships, and your connections with your friends, family, people in your community. All right. And would anyone like to share some of their answers or even some of your stories working out? Any questions or comments that you have about the presentation for me? They could be totally unrelated as well. I love answering questions about science, movement, all of that. You're also welcome to throw questions into the chat too. I'll be checking those out. If you don't want to speak up, that's okay.
I really prefer low impact stuff personally. My body does not like running and high impact sports, but I love walking and hiking. Summer pastime, I love kayaking. And that's probably it. Like, I'm not really big into sport, even though there's so many things I'd like to try. I think ego gets in the way. I have this fear that I will be terrible at it and then tend to shy away. But I gotta say, I love rock gyms. We're gonna have to do that when COVID's over, and it will end.
I think I have to second that too. I love being out in nature. So I actually want to start a hiking group after COVID in my area. I am very envious of this one particular group of women who goes hiking together. I see all of their pictures. I'm assuming they're all in a bubble together because they're out like every day. So that's something I want to do. I love anything where there's a social aspect to it too. I do love the idea of salsa dancing. I'm terrible at it. It's the whole coordination. I've never been good at coordinating legs and hands at the same time. But I love the idea of the music and, like you said, the culture and just having fun. That's how I can see movement becoming more part of my lifestyle. But I also love stretching. I love yoga. I love weightlifting. I hate cardio, like intentional cardio. I used to attend Orange Theory Fitness, which is like HIIT training almost. Hated it. Loved the people there, but hated it. It was too much treadmill, too much push, and it just didn't feel good, you know. I know some people love it. For me, it wasn't the right thing. So those are really great questions, especially the first one. What types of movement do you enjoy? I was like, I don't know if I enjoy any kind. But then, you know, I thought about it a little bit. There are a few things.
I love your point about the social interactive aspect, because I think that's what kept me working out with Bo, because it was so nice to have somebody to chit chat with while I was on the rowing machine. So I didn't think about, well, when are we going to hit 5 minutes or 3 minutes? It would just kind of go by, and it was very pleasant.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, like, the idea of a hiking group or even a walking group, when, you know, you're walking and you're talking, that's fun because you're moving your body, but at the same time, you're getting that social connection. Yeah.
And working your life.
Yes, that's true, especially if you're talking a lot.
Hi there. My 2 cents. My type of workout, I enjoy aerobic. I like, that's my stress release. High impact, I don't mind. I absolutely despise treadmills and that kind of thing. I would just as soon go and do jumping jacks for half an hour than get on a treadmill or anything. That just, I hate those things. I've always done some sort of physical aerobic activity, and this COVID is killing me. We have a group out here. I'm in Calgary, or outside of Calgary, and we have our little fitness group, and we've been doing Zoom classes now for almost a year. It's definitely not the same, but it's better than nothing, which is what I was doing before. But I like to be able to get a stress release. So anything that's aerobic, biking, hiking, skiing, I like doing sort of risky things. Joanne and I could get together and go rock climbing or something. I like doing stuff like that. But my husband's a lot older than I am, so that's sort of holds me back. But I want to go skiing, I have to go skiing by myself. So, or he doesn't come with me unless I go with someone else. And that's about it. The social part of it, that's my release, is to get together with my girls. The group of fitness that I do, it's all women, and we normally do it on our bare feet. It's just amazing. I really enjoy it. So that's my 2 cents. That's it.
Thank you for sharing.
You've talked too about the benefits of doing aspects of your workout barefoot, no?
Yes. Yes, it's very, very grounding, I love it. Just get a whole bunch of women and all of a sudden at the end of the class, we're all sobbing and crying away, but it is really good. Very much enjoy it.
Mhm. Would anybody else like to share?
Again, I guess I hadn't really given much thought about it either, to what specifically. I mean, I, for the most part, up until fairly recently, had always associated with going to the gym, but I'm realizing like yoga, more of the lower impact stuff, the stretching. I've been doing a lot of that over the last year or two and really enjoying that. I do love my treadmill though. I will say that because I find I can put on a podcast or something and I feel like I'm being more productive because I can double up and do more stuff in a day. I feel like, and it helps the time pass. So I can do the walking, you know, get my physical activity in and still feel like I'm feeding my brain and I'm being efficient, right? So I like that.
Mhm. That's very common nowadays. I have so many friends as well that love the podcasting and then either biking or going on their treadmill to pass that time, but to also get their workout in for the day. It's great to habit stack.
That's our favorite word, habit stacking. It's great to, you can't just build Rome in a day. You know, can't go out and do a 2-hour workout and then call it a month. You really have to take baby steps into things. And I love the idea of, okay, spend a few days working on habit number 1 and then continue it, but add the next thing and the next thing. And suddenly you have a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else before we move forwards? I want to include everybody that we can that wants to share. All right. I will share my screen again. Feel free to pop in whenever you'd like. So my 3 pieces of advice for physical activity and exercise and sustaining that movement is 1, to explore what activities you love. If we're not sure, we don't get to try it. If we're not experienced, it's very hard for us to make the decisions to move because we haven't seen the other side where the grass is greener. And there's no harm in just trying something new, asking a friend to introduce you to the activity, or reaching out to another community. The access to the internet too, I highly recommend anybody that wants to learn, when you can, just search up an activity that you want to do and give it a go. Oftentimes you can learn at home, especially with the COVID pandemic holding us back. And there's that opportunity to at least 1, watch the videos, and then 2, try the activities if you can. My second piece of advice is to make these activities social. We've talked a lot about this already through this workshop, and it's easier to succeed as a team than it is to do it alone. That can look like finding a dance partner. It can also look like climbing with somebody at the gym or chatting with someone on a walk. And I'm sure all of you know from your essential oil community that when you get together, set up these types of workshops, it's easier to bring people together. And exercise is very much the same. And finally, the third one, when in doubt, change it up. I know sometimes the routine can get repetitive and your attention span might decrease because it feels like an everyday chore. So I highly recommend that you take a new route, you try a new exercise, you get together with somebody new safely during this time, and experiment with another area of exercise to change it up. And the great thing about all of this is that it's a choice, and oftentimes motivation, when we're waiting on it, can be very challenging to deal with. So we can make the decision to try something new that day, take a small step at a time towards our goals, rather than jumping straight to, I want to be that athlete, I want to be something else that's far from, or what seems far from, our current health goals. And some of the benefits of movement are better sleep, improved cognitive function and mental health, over long term preventing pain and injury, but also adapting to those pains and injuries that we have through physical movement, increasing muscle weight and decreasing our weight and fat, building strength. And the concept of use it or lose it is the main principle here. If you don't use the bodies, it's hard for the body to maintain that strength and be functional for the future. Confidence is another big piece to moving, whether it's in your career, achieving goals, in your education. All of it does come together with physical movement as well. And some other tips include easier daily movement, less screen time, because Zoom calls or facing a screen is what we do most of these days, even for the kids with their education. And finally, regulating eating habits. These are just a small section. This is a small section of some of the benefits of movement, but there are a lot more. And where to start? This is my question for all of you. And I will also share some ideas, but where do we start with where we are in this relationship with ourselves? What's the next step for tomorrow? What's the next step for the next week? And where do we want to go the next few years of our life, or into our hundreds, now that technology has created that opportunity for us? You can take some time to write it in your notebook. Think about where you'd like to go with it. You could share if you want as well.
Sometimes in our basics classes, we'll ask the question around this point in the class, if nothing were to change for you from where you are today, where will your health be in 5 years? And it's so important to move. And sometimes we think, okay, well, not today, maybe next week I'll do it. But when you mentioned confidence, what my mind went to is that I'm somebody who's very injury prone. And I think that I was moving through life very afraid of just hurting myself. So I just didn't start. But once you gain the strength and the mobility and the flexibility, then the confidence, not only in the activity, but carries through to other aspects of your life. And that was a huge change for me, especially during a really highly stressful time last March, April, May, for obvious reasons, just with lockdown and all the changes we were having to pivot and adapt to.
Mm-hmm. Would anybody else like to share? Not right now. All right. So where to start? I have a lot of clients, friends, family asking me where they should start, and I just reverse the question back on them as a coach. I ask them, where do you need help? What would you like to learn? And how do you best see yourself in a great, healthy place? And how can I get you there? Those are the main questions that I ask them. And that can look like creating a plan. It can look like looking into what you enjoy and reflecting on the memories that you had as a child, as you moved, and seeing what interests you out there in the world in terms of physical activity. And the best thing to do to find somewhere to start is start small. I highly recommend taking a tiny step, whether it's going for a 5-minute walk, it's standing up more from your desk. It could be moving around with your dog and playing an extra 10 minutes per day. But finding that piece of passion and slowly building up towards something you can do more often or with more time, that's when your journey for exercise or movement is more sustainable. And it's never too late to start because there's so many options that we have nowadays to embark on our journeys and try something new. Originally, I was going to host another small workout, but because it is quite late, we can either try another stretch or I can answer all of your questions. I'm an open book. I would love to hear your stories and hear from all of you what I can do to help you out.
I have a question for you. During this time, are you leading any online classes or workshops for people who do need that partner?
At the moment, I am not. I'm only hosting virtual one-on-one sessions just because I haven't found a group of people on the same time zones that want to do the group fitness aspect. I have friends out in Vancouver that want to work out first thing in the morning, but it's already our afternoon. And people in Ontario saying, I need to go to work, but I can't cross over the times. But I'm very open to chatting about these different opportunities for either working out together or alone or setting up plans, which I often do as well for people that don't have that one-on-one Zoom time availability.
And I have to add in that, the plans that you custom create for people are exclusively based on their interests. For me, when I was going to the cottage, you gave me exercises that included going up and down the stairs and hopping in the kayak and taking a walk and just incorporated equipment that was really easy to transport with me. And so I love that versatility and the openness to, hey, whatever you want to do, let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm. I think there's always a way for us to adapt our movement either to our environment or to the equipment that we have. And it doesn't always have to come with a cost. It can be free. It can look like so many different things. And my favorite thing to do is play, just like children do. That's my favorite population to work with. And it's the same for seniors. When I do group fitness classes together, we may do a workout, but at the end of the day, we're playing games, we're moving together. And I think the best part is seeing people smile and enjoy the time that they work out, because nobody wants to be pumping iron and crying at the same time. That is not my favorite experience. Does anyone else have other questions or comments?
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say about the mental health part of it. With everybody aging or living longer, I think it's so important to be able to keep our mental health physically or mentally fit, as well as our bodies. because I look at my mom is 93 or 94 something. She has two brothers that are older than that. The brothers are pretty sharp. Mom's not bad, but I'm thinking like, wow, I got 30 years, to get to where she is. I still want to maintain that sharpness. I don't want to be one of the ones that's sitting there, in a home that doesn't know which end is up or whatever. I want to make sure that I keep what mental health I have left. I want to keep it. But I think it's really, really important. And now, especially with this virus stuff going on, everybody is just sort of, they've got so lazy and ho-hum with their physical part of it and the mental part of it. It's tough, but I think we all need to step up and make a little bit of an extra effort to look after our mental and physical health for our future. Otherwise, who's going to be looking after us? And I don't want some stranger changing my diaper down the road. I know that.
Mhm.
Nor do I want to change anybody else's.
Thank you for sharing. I love that you brought back up the points about mental health and brain health, especially in this time during a pandemic where it's easy to feel super comfortable, and then that comfortability goes for half a year, 1 year, and now we have another potential year as the vaccine rolls out, that we have to stay active and keep ourselves in a space that we can thrive rather than regress. And to add on to your, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think quite enough emphasis has been put on the getting out and getting fresh air. Yes, stay home, but you can still go out and get 15 or 20 minutes of fresh air and sunshine every day. That vitamin D aspect, moving the body. I made a post earlier today about it's really hard to feel stuck and depressed when you're moving forward physically. And so that really ties into mental health and has been a savior during winter months.
To add on to the previous point before we finish, my grandma has been my biggest inspiration all these years. She only recently stopped working at 90 because of COVID, and she couldn't go into her office anymore, but she did sewing. So that time spent with her coworkers doing the work, but also doing the physical aspect day to day, it kept her interested in her daily schedules. She had a routine. She enjoyed that space that she could take up, and she just loves it. And I don't know, I think at that age, I did not expect her to keep working. I struggled to keep up with her age increase. I always ask her on her birthday, how old are you now? That's bad on my end as a granddaughter, but because she maintains so well and she continues to, I guess, lead by example, that's where I can say, oh, this is what I look up to as a role model and how I want to feel in the future and what I want to become as well. I think that is our place to wrap up. Thank you all for joining us today in this chat, and I appreciate everyone that has shared or has taken some time to reflect, because it is not easy to sit down and really give ourselves time to assess our relationships with different aspects of health. And I want to thank you all for coming in to do that.
Hopefully everybody leaves as inspired as I am by that comment about your 90-plus-year-old grandmother leading by example. I think that's pretty incredible to aspire to, that many years on, still being nimble, still being active. And I know she is from what you've told me. And for anybody who really did take the time to rate themselves on that scale of 1 to 10, think too about how you can move that number a little bit higher with just implementing those baby steps. You know, what will you do tomorrow that's just a little bit different from what you did today? And that will be something to celebrate.
I agree.
So yeah, on that note, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, for daring to come and stretch and move, maybe on camera, maybe not.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll do these again.